Hello and welcome back to I Have No Idea What I Am Doing, a series of videos where I take you on my journey learning Vuex. This episode is all about unit testing components. Now it's not the most glamorous of things, but it helps save us a lot of time in the long run and it catches a lot of bugs before they even appear, so it's something that we really need to do. As ever, all the files are in the repo. If you're coming at this a little bit later and the repo is ahead of where you are in the videos, then that's fine, just check out the correct episode branch if you just go to the tags. The link's in the description anyway, so you're cool. If you haven't seen the episodes, then there's a playlist popping up just about here. That should have all of the episodes in that you need, and if you don't want to miss the next one, then subscribe here. Without any further ado, let's get learning. So, looking at where we left off last time, we have a deck, we have a hand, and we have a play area, and we added in the animations last time, so when we deal from the deck, it comes off the top of the deck and flies into the hand, like so. Very nice. And then play area, they still turn over, and then they all go over to the deck, and then same with dealing into the play area, and so on and so forth. Now, there is a slight issue with this that I didn't notice at the time, but I've since noticed after the fact. Cards don't actually animate out of the hand. They just disappear out of the hand and then slide into the play area. This is simply because of the way we've rendered the card list. So if I come in here and we look at the hand, compared to, let's say, the deck. So the deck loops through every card in the cards array, and the card itself is what has the transition element on. Whereas the hand doesn't loop through the cards; it loops through this card holder. So technically, the card is never shown or hidden, but the component, the div that contains that card is the thing that's been shown or hidden, so it messes with the animations a tiny bit. I've done that so that it plays a bit nicer with this overlapping on CSS Grid, but I'm just going to call it tech debt for now because it's not something that it realistically needs to be fixed right now. So what we are doing today is we are doing some tests. You can see if we look at the current testing suite, we've got 4 tests, 3 for the move card to mutation and 1 for the deck filter getter thing. And that's fine. It's a good level of tests for the actual store that we've got. But we don't just have the store. So we've got this card store here with 1 getter and 1 mutation. What we actually want to test as well is these components, specifically the card and the 3 different types of card list that we have. This card list, it doesn't get used, so I'm not going to bother testing it. It's not, like I say, it's not really used at the moment, and app is very likely to change as we go forward, so I'm going to forego testing that for now. But before we do any tests, I'm going to once again change up the structure a little bit, because what we have currently is we have tests and then we have cards.test.js. Now that, I know that maps to this cards module here, but it's not particularly clear for anyone else. I just happen to know that that's what that does. You see, when we get a few more things and we start adding in the components, this is going to get a little bit confusing. So what I am going to do, let's kill that and let's move tests cards test.js to store modules. So we've put cards test in here, and then inside our is it the webpack config? Can't remember where we set this actually. Is it package.json? Yes, it is. So I want to change that to not just look inside tests, but to look inside everything. So this ** here just means look through every directory in the, well, that could be problematic. Yeah, so this says look through every directory for anything that ends in test.js. I'm not going to run this because I've been a little bit greedy with this here. And while it is hidden here, there is a node modules folder in the root. And I have a feeling that if I do run this, it's going to look through everything in my node modules and look for anything ending in test.js, which is probably quite a few things that I don't want testing. So what I'm going to do is I want to explicitly look in store and components. That should work. Let's give it a whirl. No tests. Oh, right, yeah, store components, and then I want to do the **. So this says any directory inside store or components. Okay, good. It looks like it's failing. It is failing, but that's simply because this is trying to import getters and mutations from .. store modules cards, whereas this isn't where this is in relation to the test anymore. It's just simply / cards because we're in the same directory now. So there we go. Our tests are passing. And what this allows us to do, doing it this way, is we can just put the tests directly next to the thing that they're testing. So we can have inside components, we can have card.test.js and cardlist.test.js and deck.test.js. And then the tests are right next to the thing they're testing, and it's really easy to see what they're testing and where they live. And it's a bit cleaner, basically. So I'm going to commit this. I'll be back in a moment. Okay, so let's create our first component test. I want to create a new file. Let's just save that as, let's just save that as card.test.js. So we will test the card first. Our tests absolutely love that we did that. Let's kill them for now. Yeah, that's the thing about watching files. Sometimes there's some weird, unexpected behavior when you start creating new ones. So look, card.view. Tell you what, let's, instead of just going blindly into this and hoping and guessing, let's have a look at the docs and see what they recommend for testing Vue components. Testing Vue components. You can go with this will do. Let's just look at the docs. Always look at the docs first. They're most likely to be up to date. Simple assertions, don't have to do anything special to make them testable. Export the raw options. Okay, that sounds promising. So we've got are we exporting them options? We are. We've only got props though. Then import the component options along with Vue, and you can make many common assertions. Import Vue and the component. Okay. It has a created hook, correct default data, component instance on mount. Okay, I'm going to keep reading. Writing testable components. Components render output is primarily determined by the props they receive. If a component's render output solely depends on its props, it becomes straightforward to test. Yep. Let's have a look at this example. Export default props. Okay, good. That's probably closer to what we've got with the card. Yeah, this is close at what we want, right? So we want to import Vue and import the component. There's a helper function there. What does that do? Okay, kind of renders the. Yeah, I'll drop that in. There's probably a library that does this for us, but I'll drop that in for now. Describe the component. It renders correctly with different props. Okay, let's just copy all of that and drop that into here, and update the relevant things. We don't need package anymore. Vue still wants to be Vue. My component wants to be card. Card.view. Yeah, okay, let's leave that as is. That also wants to be card. I'm going to say component just so we know what it is. Renders correctly with different props. Yeah, sure. Let's just change that to text, see what it does. I don't know if this will pass. It's a very whoa. Why did that test like 20 times? Expect is not defined. Okay, I have a feeling inside this one. Yeah, we have to import test explicitly. Let's just do that at the top. My component is not defined. Where have I left my component? Ah, there. Card. Woohoo, one failure. Document is not defined. That's not what I was expecting. What? Yeah, here's the thinking this will be simple. I have found something called Vue Test Utils, which is the official unit testing utility library for Vue.js. Sounds ideal, doesn't it? There was quite a bit of setup involved with it, as there always is with these things. But if you go to Vue Test Utils, just Google Vue Test Utils. I'll put the link in the description as well if you want to have a look in there. But basically, yeah, go to the docs. There are some getting started things. There's quite a lot of stuff in here for the purposes of this project. We are already using Mocha and Webpack for testing, so I went straight into testing SFCs with Mocha and Webpack. An SFC, if you didn't know, which I didn't either, is a single file component, which is exactly what we want to be testing. Now, like I said, there is some setup involved, and it's not overly clear. This is assuming that you don't have any tests. So I'll go over what we changed to get it working for us. This is the test itself. I'll flesh these out. I'll do that while I'm recording though, so you can see. So we'll skip over that for now. So if we look in package.json, you'll see we have installed the test utils. We have installed something called JS DOM and JS DOM Global. Webpack Dev Server. We've not installed that. That was already there. Oh, it's because we've added this tiny little comma on the end so that we can also install Webpack Node Externals, which basically does magic. I don't know what it does exactly, but what we did do is we changed this test thing again. And we just added in this require here. So we want to, as well as running our test and watching these files, which we were doing before, we just add in require test setup.js. Now, what test setup.js does, I think I've closed it actually. This requires JS DOM global. You don't need to worry too much about what this does. Basically, it gives us a way of manipulating the DOM with JavaScript because we need to sort of render our component to the DOM to test it. Yeah, don't worry too much about this. Just add this require flag in, create a file called test setup, and just require JSON global. Then that allows us to, in our card test, import this function called shallow from the Vue test utils. And the way we use that is we can shallow render a card. So it doesn't fully render it, but it creates like a kind of render of it, basically like a pseudo render. And then we can actually just test the component, and we can change things on it, and we can prod it, and we can poke it, and we can test that it's behaving in the way we expect. So as an example, the way you set props on these, I mean, coming from React land, you can write like that, and that's lovely, and that works really well. But unfortunately, you don't seem to be able to do that with Vue, and you have to render the card first and then set the props on that card afterwards. So we have set the text to banana, and we've set it face up to true. So if we were rendering this card here, it would be kind of like this, and it would just say banana. And then what we do after we've set the props is we expect the card text. So inside the card component, we find the card text div, and then we check the text, and we expect it to equal banana, which we've passed up here. Now this isn't the best test. I've got the name of the test wrong. I've used the word banana, which is hilarious, but not ideal. And it's all hard coded and stuff. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use this as a sort of reference and just comment it out for now, and we will start writing some tests. So let's close all of them, and let's see what do we expect the card to do. So by default, when there's no face up, we expect it to what should it do? It should show the back of the card when no props are passed. Yep. In fact, I'm just going to write out a load of these for now. It should show the card text to it when the card is face up. And we also, what else should it do? We'll just add an extra test, so it should not show the card text when it is face down. So there's our 3 tests. It should show the back of the card when no props are passed. It should show the card text prop passed to it when when the card is face up. That's maybe a bit wordy, but we can change that later. And it should not show the card text when it is face down. What we want to do here is, inside this one, we can say const card equals shallow card. Oh, it wants to be uppercase, that one. And that just sort of does that pseudo rendering I was talking about of the card. We don't want to set any props on this, so we can go straight into expect. I can just do cards.text to equal. I'm not sure what it is. It just devs against humanity, I think, is what is written on the back of the card. Let's see. Good, that passed. Let's just check that. Yeah, right. Good. So that was nice and easy. Now the next one, it should show the card text prop passed to it when the card is face up. Right. So let's write this test out. So again, const card equals shallow card, and we want to pass card.set props. Now you see how up here we've hard coded it. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to pass it text and face up of true. So I want to create the text up here. It really doesn't matter what this is. Is an example of the card text. Yeah, so what we're doing there is we are setting the text const and then we are passing it through as a prop. Now remember, ES6 destructuring, that is the same as writing that. So let's do it like that. Right, text face up, true. And we also want to expect. Now we were quite verbose with this one and we found the card text and then check the text, but I don't think we need to do that really because it'll just find the text anyway. So if we do card.text as before to equal, now instead of actually writing in here this is blah 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 blah, because we've set it as a prop, we just do that. So that's referencing this string here which has been passed to there, so we can change this to be whatever we want and it'll pass it to the prop and still test against that string as well. So in theory, 2 passing tests. Happy days, we're on a roll. Can we do 3 for 3? Right, it should not show the card text when it is face down. So we're going to do pretty much the same thing again, not card, const card equals shallow card, const text equals I should not be shown. And then card.set props text. See, this time we're just going to set the prop, the text prop. We're not actually going to make it face up. So if it's not set to be face up, it's face down, and if it's face down, it shouldn't render the card text. So expect card.text to equal text. Is it to not equal? Okay, happy days. Now let's just check. Yeah, there we go. So it says devs against humanity. And it says I should not be shown. In fact, what I'm going to do, I'm going to expect it to not equal text. I don't know what the better way of writing this is. See, what I could also do, I'll do that. I'll belt and braces it. So I expect it to not equal this text. I expect it to equal devs against humanity. That kind of makes sense. Like, it doesn't equal text because it equals devs against humanity, but maybe it's not important. It passes. It's good. We are now testing the card component, and we can get rid of this. So that was nice and easy. I'm going to go away and I'm going to test all the other components, and then I will come back once they're all tested and go through the tests with you. Okay, I thought it was too good to be true. So these tests aren't passing properly because, so with what I would have done if this was React is I would have said the deck here and then cards equals, and then I would have passed in some dummy cards here, but this doesn't work like that. because inside the deck we call this the getters from the store. So the deck itself tries to pull in the cards rather than us passing the cards down to the deck. And we're not actually using the store in this test here, so we need to mock the getters as well in order to get the cards in properly. Luckily, on the Vue test utils docs, there is a section for just this. There is for using with Vuex, and there's a mocking getters section. I've just skipped straight to that. I was going to just put it in, but I thought I'll go through it now on the camera with you, so we can go through it together. So looking at this, I just kind of look. That looks like a fairly standard component here. That's very similar to what we've got. We've got the getters, and they've got the same issue that we have, where they need to mock the getters essentially. Renders a result of the getters clicks and input value. We don't really care about what those getters returns, just that the result of them is being rendered correctly. Yep, that sounds about right. So what does the test look like? We are getting, let me just hide this menu. Oh, we've gone too far. There we are. We are getting shallow and create local view from the Vue test utils. We're importing Vuex itself. Import actions from getters. That's a bit confusing. Okay, then we create a local view use Vuex. And we set up the getters, we set up the store, and then we just, alright, okay. So these are getters that regardless of what value is passed to it, it just returns the same value every time. Okay. And then rendering, I'll tell you what I'll do, I'll copy all this through. So, oh, where are we? Import Vuex from Vuex, and we wanted create local view from the test utils as well. Create local view, and these two bits I'm just going to straight up copy because there's nothing special there. I am going to put the semicolons on because that's just how I like to do it. Inside the describe, okay, so we set the store up once and then have all our it blocks. So, you know, I'm just going to again copy all that. This is just a commented version of the test from the card tests because I just wanted it there as an example. I'll delete that before anything gets added in. So we let getters, we let store, and then before each test, getters is these two, store is new store with the getters. Okay, that's cool. I'm just going to one line that. And getters equals cards in. And what do we want to return? We want to return an array. Can I just do 3 empty objects? No, we're still failing. Why are we failing? Cannot read property getters of undefined. Have I missed a step? Oh, yeah. I'm forgetting to pass the store to the... Right. So instead of just rendering the deck here, we want to pass across the store and this local view thing, whatever that is. We're still failing. This.store.getters.cards in is not a function. Good news is it's a different message, which means we're on the right track. Bad news is it's obviously still failing. It's not a function. It is a function. Wait, yeah, okay, so The actual getter for cards in is a slightly fancy getter, if you remember from before, where we take the state and the location and then return, so it's like a chained function. So in theory, because we don't actually care about any of the parameters, we should be able to do that. And now we've got a function that returns a function that returns these dummy cards. Okay, there we go. We are passing because we don't have an expect block here. So I expect cards dot length to equal. I'll just hard code it for now. It's 3. And get rid of that log. We've got a failure here. What are we failing? Expected 0 to equal 3. Is it an issue with this? Maybe. I'll tell you what. I'll copy these 3 cards here. Let's be super explicit about this. No, it's still 0. Deck. That should be looping through all the cards. Is find all right? I've kind of guessed with find all really. Let's find. Find all. Returns a wrapper array. Use any valid selector. I wonder, maybe card isn't a valid selector because it's not actually. It's a custom component rather than a proper one. So yeah, they've gone with divs. Let's have a look at these selectors. Tag selectors, div, foo, bar, class selectors, pseudo selectors. It seems to find option object. Test utils allows for selecting elements by name of a component on wrapper components. Name my book. Maybe that's it. So maybe I have to do name card. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Right. Okay. So now we are getting 3. I wonder if I can simplify this back down again to be just. Yeah, I can. So let's just delete all of that. And then we return 1, 2, 3. Hey. Okay, happy days. What I am going to do, let cards equal 1, 2, 3. Oh, 3. I've got something wrong here. Oh. It's my IDE trying to be helpful, and I'm just going to return cards there, and then this is going to say cards dot length, and then yeah, there we go. Happy days. Now I can add as many or as little as I like here, and this will, if I'm passing it the cards from the getters, it should render all the cards. Right, okay, good. Let's see if the next test is just as easy. Okay, this one is a little bit different again. So what we've had to do here is, instead of just shallow rendering, we've had to mount the actual deck rather than shallow rendering it. So whereas before I was saying it was like pseudo rendering it, this is like a more real render, I guess. So we can actually trigger clicks on things. And what we do is we mount the deck, pass it the store like we did before so that it gets some cards. Then we find the first card, and then we set this draw card to a sign-on stub. I'm not going to go too far into that, but basically it's a fake function that lets you know when it's been called. And then what we do is we override the draw card method on the deck, so it'll no longer call the store commit. It just calls this fake stubbed function here instead. And then we trigger a click on the card, so it's the first card we found. And then we expect draw card to have been called once. That's basically what this does. This test could probably be a little bit cleaner, but I want to go through and get all the other tests done in. So I'm going to do the tests for the hand and the play area. They should be very similar to these, and then I will be back. Okay, so I've tested the hand as well now. So this is largely the same as before. In fact, a lot of this dummy store getter stuff can be probably taken out and imported back into the tests so that they all share the same thing. But I'll do that a little bit later. It's not too important for now. It's just a little bit of tech debt. Again, same as before, it should render all the cards from the store. So the hand should, when we pass the 3 cards to it, have 3 cards in it. And it should trigger a play card method on click. This is pretty much the same as the other one, but the only difference is where in deck we were just saying expect draw card called, we can actually dig in a little bit further and say we expect play card to have been called with the ID of the first card. This just makes the test a little bit more robust, really. So we're not just checking if it's called, we're checking if it was called with the right parameters. Play area test is again very similar. We've got the same setup here, and we check that it renders all the 3 cards that we've passed to it. But we have 2 different things on the play area, because the play area has 2 actions. On the first click, it reveals the cards. On the second click, it clears the cards. So what we've done is we run the test once and we check that reveal cards has been called in much the same way as we did the other tests. And then we have a separate test that triggers the click twice, and then we expect clear play area to have been called. Now the reason we don't have this all in one test is because we're stubbing out the reveal cards function. On the first click, the cards don't actually get revealed because we're calling this function here instead of the reveal cards function. So the second click won't actually trigger clear play area. It'll just keep triggering reveal cards because the cards haven't been revealed. So that check fails. So they're 2 separate tests. So if we restart the tests, we'll see we now have 14 passing tests, and we have our getters, our mutations, we have our card component tested, our deck component, and these are all called deck component. I should change that. Let's just very quickly play area component. No, that wants to be hand component. Yeah, so there we go. The hand and the play area components are now being tested as well. So our test suite is a lot more robust. Okay, so tests aren't the most glamorous things in the world, but they're absolutely essential to writing good code. They not only catch bugs, but they can kind of describe to a new user of your code base what the thing you're testing is supposed to do without them having to dig through the code. And if you've got any open source or anything like that, then having tests in place to test changes that other people have made to your code without having to run through everything manually yourself, they're a massive time saver in the long run. This is a fortnightly show, so the next episode is in 3 weeks. Yeah, that's simply because I completely forgot that 5-week months were a thing. We have an episode on the 2nd and 4th Thursday of each month, so the next one will be on the 2nd Thursday, which is the 12th of April. And again, that is in 3 weeks' time. I'm going on holiday, and I will be running a conference in them 3 weeks, so it's actually fallen at quite a nice time for me. Next time we'll be doing something a little bit more fun, and we will be looking at some design work and playing with some CSS and getting some styles in there, and it's going to be a nice visual episode to combat the testing episode that we've just had. I'm trying to strike a good balance between the sort of visual side of things and the data side of things, so let me know if I'm getting that balance about right in the comments. Just remember, I have no idea what I'm doing.